Citizens of the nation's capital are today beginning a three-day dual celebration of the 172nd anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the 100th anniversary of the laying of the cornerstone for the Washington National Monument. At the foot of this imposing memorial to the father of his country, thousands of patriotic Americans have gathered to hear President Harry S. Truman deliver the feature address of the day. The president will be introduced by Secretary of State George C. Marshall. As we open the broadcast portion of the program this afternoon, the United States Marine Band, under the direction of Major William Santelman, is playing the American Patrol. American Patrol, played by the United States Marine Corps Band. And now Secretary of State George C. Marshall takes his place to introduce the President of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
The President is being greeted by a host of photographers before he opens his address.
General Marshall, Admiral Halsey, General Grant, Acting Grand Master of the District of Columbia, and ladies and gentlemen. It's a very great honor indeed to stand here on this 100th anniversary of the laying of the cornerstone of the great Washington Monument and to hold in my hand the gavel which George Washington himself used to lay the cornerstone of the capital of the United States and which was used by the Grand Master of the District of Columbia to lay the cornerstone of this monument. This is a historic spot indeed. When I was asked to appear here today, I began to think of my childhood and the celebrations of the 4th of July. It was always customary in those days to read the Declaration of Independence and to read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States, and then some orator who had a flowery vocabulary would spend a couple of hours telling us tired youngsters what a great country this truly is. We don't follow that custom anymore, although I was most happy to see the distribution of the printed copies of the Declaration of Independence in the same style in which it was printed in 1776. I hope every one of you sometime today will read that document once more. Only stop and think that on the 4th of July, 1776, there were 13 independent colonies on the Atlantic seaboard of the North American continent. They were not a nation. They were 13 nations. And when their independence was finally won in 1781 at the surrender of Cornwallis, it took several years more for them to decide to become a united nation. And it took more than 80 years to cement that union into a going concern, so that today, 160 years after that, after the adoption of the Constitution of the United States, this is the greatest republic that the sun has ever shone on and the most powerful nation in the world. when I think of that difference in 1776 and 1789, and think of this place in 1789 as a swamp, there are some most interesting things that have taken place here. There's a marker over there just west of the monument which shows the point at which boats were anchored, barges that used the Chesapeake and Potomac Canal. It is said that John Quincy Adams, on occasion, used to come down to that point and take a swim in the morning instead of going for a walk as I do. And it is said on one occasion, a certain lady who had been attempting to get a job from the president and had not been able to have an interview with him, waited until he went in swimming, and then she got on his clothes and made him promise her a job before she let him come out of the river. On another occasion, on July the 4th, 1850, a sad event took place. Zachary Taylor was then President of the United States, and he came out here to a celebration such as this, and he delivered the oration of the day. Then, it being hot as it is now, he ate cherries and fruit, drank a lot of water, went back to the White House, and on the 9th of July, he was dead. Let's hope that nothing of that sort happens here today. I want to call to your attention the fact that as the most powerful nation in the world, we have assumed responsibilities which we must fulfill. We've fought two tremendous wars for freedom and liberty in the world. At the end of this last war, World War II, our ambition was only for one thing: peace in the world and the welfare of the world as a whole. We have no territorial ambitions. We asked for no reparations. We only asked for peace with justice in the world, and we asked that the United Nations be made to work for that purpose. We've spent all the time since the war in endeavoring to do just that. I'm hoping that you will carry away from here today the idea that we shall continue to strive for peace. We shall continue to endeavor to make the United Nations the going concern that it ought to be. We shall continue, with the help of this great statesman on my right here, the Secretary of State, to accomplish that very purpose. Again, I want to express to you my sincere thanks and appreciation for being allowed to appear before you today and for the privilege of having had in my hand this historic gavel with which I started this little talk. Thank you very much.
now President Truman, having concluded his address, will shake hands with the other dignitaries on the speaker's stand and prepare to leave. Now to the background of ruffles and flourishes and hail to the chief, the President leaves the platform accompanied by his aides and other dignitaries. The address by President Harry S. Truman, which you have just heard, highlighted the opening day activities in a 3-day dual celebration of the 172nd anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the 100th anniversary of the laying of the cornerstone for the Washington National Monument. The President was introduced by Secretary of State George C. Marshall and spoke from a stand on the monument grounds in Washington, where earlier he had reviewed a colorful parade led by Fleet Admiral William F. Halsey. This is Charles Batter speaking. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.